So I'm going to teach you about ledger lines again. So we know that when you have a treble clef or a bass clef for that matter, we'll talk about bass clef in second half of the term more, that you can have your notes like F, A, C, E, and then you can have one on top that sits on top right there called G. And if you'd like to go further up, we draw another line, another staff line, but we don't draw the whole line, we just draw a little bit. So this would be the place where the next line would be. It's just big enough to accommodate a note, and if you wanted to go above G, you'd put the note on the line. Just like if you wanted to go above F, you'd put the note, above E, you'd put the note on the line above it, okay? And that's called A. And then if we wanted to go above that, you'd put it on top. So one note about that. To draw a B, this is a G, the next one up is an A, and that's a B. You don't need to do this. That note is irrelevant. All you have done is drawn the Green Lantern symbol, or TIE Fighter sideways, or one of the unknown Pokemon. Okay, that's too nerdy. You only draw as many of these as you need. So the next one would be on that line right there, and that'd be a C and a D, and then you notice I didn't draw another line until I needed it, an E, and then finally way up here after that would be an F. It's just the same. We do actually get good at reading these as we practice music that needs them, although ukuleles, the smaller they are, they have a limited range, so you might not see these, but guitar players, flute players, trumpet players, violinists will all see these notes, and so you want to get good at this. And you can go in the other direction as well. Underneath that line right there, we know that this one down here is middle C, and if we wanted to go below that, it would be a B, and then two ledger lines would be an A, and then 3 would be a G, and 4 would be a, 3 ledger lines would be an F, there's a G. And then the one below that, way down there, is an E, okay? How do we get good at these? Well, practice mostly, but intelligent practice makes it go faster. For instance, if you saw this note right here, the first thing to do is not to panic and say, well, I don't know that note, but what do I know? And I know that this note right here is a G. And if you've noticed that if all the notes are in spaces like this, they go up making triads, or if all the notes are on lines, they go up making triads. And since this is in a space, that's on top, so between the lines is a space, there's another space, and that's a G. You could use your triads and go G, B, D, because that would be a B right there. So it's a D, right? And once you know that's a D and that's a B, and you practice those a lot, then if you're confronted with that note right there, you can say, well, this is a G, and that's a B, and that's one up from there, so that's a C. And it just takes practice. Same thing going down. So there's a series of what are called note identification tests. They're more like worksheets with a purpose, where you're going to get to practice these. But there's also a website that we will send you to as well. But that's your lecture on ledger lines.